So what I'm about to show you is all of the footage that Tucker Carlson showed his audience last week as his way of trying to say that January 6th was a peaceful protest and that nobody got hurt and that it was, just chill, and that the rioters have been misrepresented by the January 6th committee, which is absurd. We saw it live. Most of us saw it live while it was happening. We saw footage from people's cameras, from people's phones, from just random footage. It wasn't edited. It was just being all over Twitter. It was all over the media all at once. So I don't know how that could have been manipulated by, literally like hundreds of sources. It was on YouTube. It was on Facebook. It was on Twitter. It was everywhere. It's kind of gonzo journalism in a way, meaning it was just sort of random, in the moment, coming from every, method imaginable. So there's audio versions of it, for Christ's sakes. So anyway, what I'm about to show you is footage that he showed his audience. I'm going to talk you through it. And I decided to be in the video because we're going to do kind of a split screen thing, screen and screen, because this footage is so incredibly boring that if I just walk you through it, you might fall asleep. I'm serious. I'm not even kidding. And hey, maybe you'll see one of my cats running around behind me. I can't control them. They're young. They're crazy. I named them after Nordic gods. That was probably a mistake. So here we go. So in this first scene, it's supposed to be, according to Tucker Carlson, that the cops were going to open that door for him, but it looks more like they were checking to make sure it was locked because they didn't open the door. You'd think that they could. So this is just the QAnon Shaman, Jacob Chansley, walking. He's actually in the Senate. He's supposed to be saying a prayer at this point. You have, call me crazy. He's not supposed to be back there. Now, if you notice, the cops are behind Jacob Chansley. They're actually trailing him. And there they are trailing him again. Tucker Carlson literally looked at his audience and said that the cops led him around like tour guides. That is not the case, and it's very clear here. You can see that that's not what they're doing. The cops have testified that they were trying to keep him calm and trying to de-escalate the situation. I also want to point out that the end of his flag right there is a spear. So that's a spear that he's holding with a flag tied onto it. The end of it is a spear. Now, I don't know if that would be sharp enough to really hurt anybody. It might be, but it's still a weapon, and he is dressed very extreme. I can see why. And what's in his backpack? We don't know. That's a very large backpack, and it looks quite full. I'm sure the cops were very nervous about all of this. Now, in this scene, you see a crowd of people go up to cops that are trying to block them off from a room. And one thing that you will notice, I'm not sure why this was supposed to be showing that they were calm. See, people are starting to leave the room. They get it. This is pointless. The cops are going to block us from going forward. We're going to leave. Jacob Chansley, as you see, is up at the top. He's not leaving. He's not going anywhere. He's still getting even closer to the cops. So that doesn't make him look good. And again, the Jacob Chansley footage, some people have quoted it's about 4 minutes. I found it was closer to 3.5 minutes. Maybe they're including something that he's in that I'm not. But it's a very scant amount of footage, considering it was 40 to 41,000 hours of coverage that Tucker Carlson supposedly got. Now, in the second video, that's Jacob Chansley at the very top of the screen going into a hallway. And there he is talking to cops for a brief minute. There he is in the Senate where he's not supposed to be. There he is walking into the Senate where he's not supposed to be. The cops have said that, and he actually signed a plea agreement, like saying he was pleading guilty. He said that he agreed that he entered the Senate by himself of his own volition. The cops have said the same. There he is briefly in the hallway. I'm not sure what a hallway shot's supposed to mean because he was in the Capitol for quite some time. And again, this is 3.5 minutes. There he's walking in the hallway again. See, again, why is this compelling? I don't understand. Because the cops aren't tackling him to the ground. There's the spear. You can see it quite clearly there. There he's screaming. Here's another shot of him screaming. And here, this is hilarious because Tucker Carlson showed this 6 times. Those are 2 men who were breaking the door open. They broke in through the window that was broken in by a Proud Boy who's currently facing trial right now. There's Jacob Chansley. I added that red oval on the screen so you could clearly see him. Now, this was shown 6 times. That brief clip that I just showed you was shown 6 times. And Tucker Carlson never once mentioned that Jacob Chansley entered the building. In fact, he tried to say that nobody was sure how Jacob Chansley entered the building, and that was up to dispute. This is, I don't know the name of this room. It's I called it the Grand Hall. I'm sure it has a name. I don't think it really matters. It's a big round room. You'll see it again and again. So this is just a brief, I think this was total a minute and a half. So again, consider that. You've got cameras all over the place, pointed in every direction. And the best Tucker Carlson could come up with was a minute and a half. This says that he tried to say that they stayed in orderly lines behind the velvet ropes. Well, clearly you can see the velvet ropes right there, clumped in a little circle where people have just pushed them aside. This room is going to get more and more crowded. I also want to add that there were human feces found throughout the Capitol. Human feces. So I don't know how these men were, mostly men with a few women, were orderly and meek and reverent when you find human feces throughout the Capitol, smeared on the walls apparently, during this event. So yeah, this is all he could give us. So, if you take a minute and a half out of an hour, sure, maybe you can find some calmer footage, but that's all this is, and it's just people wandering around. The flag guy goes across. I had to kind of look for landmarks of when this was repeating, and that's it. And then again, more random in the same room. I had to cut all this up. It was all in one big thing. Now for the next one, we've got, this is the sick Nick. And it's only about 29 seconds. And this poor man, the medical examiner basically said everything that occurred that day contributed to his condition, was the actual wording. I'm paraphrasing it a little bit, but he basically said that, and then the head of the Capitol Police said anyone who thinks that what happened that day did not contribute to his death is not using common sense, also paraphrasing a bit. But yeah, poor sick Nick. I mean, he died right after this happened. He was only 42 years old. I think it's a bit of a stretch to act like he just died spontaneously of 2 strokes and had nothing to do with getting a bunch of pepper spray in his face and had people come at him like that. I don't know his exact physical injuries, but I think he did get hit with a lot of pepper spray. Now, this is some hallway footage that was recycled quite a bit. And look for that pink coat. That pink coat kept coming back, and that's how I knew it was recycled footage. And again, this is right when the beginning happened. You can clearly see how many cops are there, how many rioters. You can see why the cops may have made the choice of, we're going to try to de-escalate this. We're going to try to keep this contained and not make it get worse. Because had they started... Now, this is bizarre that Tucker Carlson included this, because this is really nutty, because this has people in the room who they're starting to flood in at that point. There's some riot police. I'm not sure why he thought that made them look good. And again, I guess he thinks, casual riot police, no big deal. And then we have, poor Ray Epps. This man went to the Capitol. He owned a wedding company in Arizona. And he's taller. He's got a red hat on. He sticks out. He was yelling a bit. And then he texted his nephew some stuff, and his timeline was slightly off. He told the investigators it was around 2:12, and then later it turns out it was closer to 2:41. And even when the investigators asked him, he was kind of non-committal about it. He's like, yeah, it's around that time. And they were like, okay. There was no what was your exact time? What was your exact location? The key is he didn't enter the Capitol. He had left at that point. Tucker Carlson's tried to turn him into a conspiracy theory. And, got other people to go in the Capitol, and he was somehow secretly working for the FBI, or was an FBI informant, and was there to stir up the crowd and cause trouble on purpose to make the rioters look bad, to sort of instigate something. So there's Ray Epps again, and that 241, which is really not that big of a deal. And what's also funny is that, Tucker Carlson should have included a time code for all of the footage we just saw, so we could get an idea of exactly when. It's a bit ridiculous to only have a time code for that one brief moment. This is Josh Hawley. This is Senator Josh Hawley, and I debunked this immediately. I debunked this within 10 minutes of this airing. Because he shows that and he tries to say, oh, look, the January 6th committee didn't show you that he was with a bunch of people and he was at the end. Actually, they did. The January 6th committee showed a clip right after that from a different perspective. They actually used a camera that was pointed up the stairs. It was from the bottom of the stairs. We're going to see Alex Jones. He was on for 3 seconds. And I just add in that Josh Hawley footage that the January 6th committee showed us that he was not alone. He was with a bunch of senators. Then this next clip is what we call the MAGA cop. He was a Capitol Police officer who donned a Make America Great hat so he could get through the crowd and help people. That's what he said. He ended up leaving the force soon after this. Tucker Carlson interviewed him for 10 minutes, and all I really got from it is that he was really angry at a supervisor he thought did not do a good job, and he was angry that the January 6th committee didn't interview him. Honestly, I didn't get much more from it than that. This is some weird shot from the ceiling that doesn't really show you anything, because this could be right when the riot started. This could be in the first, minute and a half. It's only 20 seconds worth of footage. 20 seconds. Why are we even including this? And they're just slightly closer shot. And that's the stanchion. And then these are some exterior shots that have been sped up. And again, I don't know how this is supporting his argument that it was peaceful or calm. That's at the Ellipse. People wandering to the Capitol. More people wandering to the Capitol. This shot was recycled and looped over and over and over again. Some recently released footage by the January 6th committee was just released yesterday. And it shows, see that line of cops at the front? It shows that disintegrating and that mob rushing forward. See, Tucker Carlson doesn't include that, but that line of cops did not hold. Look at the amount of people versus the amount of cops. So you can understand why that did not hold. And they actually show the footage of them spilling forward and just going all the way front. I don't know how this, again, helps Tucker Carlson's argument. That's a lot of people. And if they came running towards anything, unless the cops wanted to use lethal force, which would be excessive and insane and would be outrageous, they're not going to stop that. They're not going to stop that amount of people. Now, this next, you're going to see a puff of smoke that Tucker Carlson claimed was tear gas. It's kind of, I don't know. That didn't look very tear gassy to me. It looked like it could have been. And then this is a bizarre peephole shot that went on for about, I want to say it was 20 some odd seconds. I don't know what this is supposed to show. It just shows people milling about. I think they included it because it was weird looking and it kind of broke up the monotony of hallway shots. I'm not really sure. It doesn't show anything. It just shows people. Again, this could be the first 20 seconds of when people just finally came in. Doesn't mean anything. None of this footage means anything. All of this is nonsense. This is Trump making the one comment that they were really happy that he made. And that's it. That's the whole video. There's nothing going on. Tucker has nothing. Tucker has nothing. And I know you're going to hear from some of your friends and family, colleagues, coworkers, whatever, who are fans of his show who are going to say, well, Tucker just showed footage that proves everything was a lie. Everything was a lie. Well, what you can point out to them is it was about 10 and a half minutes total, and it showed absolutely nothing. Jacob Chansley was actually being trailed by cops for most of those clips, and it just shows maybe a minute and a half, maybe 30 seconds in some cases of some action happening, and that's it. On the Sick Nick footage, we don't have any context. We don't have a timeline. Why isn't there a timeline? If you could show us a timeline for Ray Epps for that brief moment, then you should have been showing us a timeline for the entire thing. Because the January 6th committee did show us a timeline. They had models. They showed us exactly where people came in the building, which was more than one place. They showed us how they came in the building. They broke it down minute by minute by minute. They did. If you don't believe me, go back and look at it. They showed literally very, very specific, very clear, to be transparent about exactly what was happening when it was happening. And Tucker Carlson didn't do any of that. He showed us clips. He didn't give us a timeline. He didn't give us context. And then he made up a narrative about those clips. And that's not what happened. So that's it. Those are my clips. Wanted to break it down to you. Wanted to show it to you. If you want to go through this footage and not hear my voice, that's perfectly fine. You can take the audio out. But that's it. That's the whole Megillah. That's the big reveal. The reveal of nothing. Thanks for watching. If you want to be a supporter of Decoding Fox News, you can go to my Substack at Decoding Fox News. You can also go to my Patreon channel at Decoding Fox News. And I'm, of course, on Twitter. I basically live on Twitter. It's true. And I also have 2 cats, Odin and Thor, who I talk about way too much. Thanks so much. Decoding Fox News. And these are all the places that you can follow me: Substack, Twitter, Patreon, YouTube right here. Like and subscribe. This is a shoestring budget project. I could use your support. Thank you so much.